Thursday, the city council will consider 2 sites for relocating the camp.
Single police, 3 hours to clean up. Single police, 3 hours to clean up. 3 hours to clean up. 3 hours.
We're homeless humans. We're not something to be swept under a rug, and we're never going to disappear.
You can do the sweeps, you can ticket people, you can arrest people, but they don't disappear. Trust me, I see folks all over the city that have been impacted by sweeps. All it's done is make it harder to help, harder to provide assistance. They may be starting to post notices for the sweeps, so we're gonna jump out. So what we have here are our City of San Diego environmental service workers. It looks like they're starting to get ready to put up the encampment eviction signs, commonly known as sweeps, where they give people 3 hours to move their stuff or it gets thrown away.
Never know what's going to happen. Like today, they're doing cleanup for the 4th time on our side. So it's a wake up and surprise.
I had a job and I lost it because I got hurt. Yes, it's just, they don't want us here or something.
I don't want to jail people for living on the street, but when people are living in an encampment and have been asked 20 separate times to come to the shelter and to get off the streets and they still refuse, jail has to be a last and worst option.
In San Diego, the homeless sweep began with orange warning signs. You have 3 hours to leave. Your belongings will be destroyed. Sanitation workers posted signs. Garbage trucks opened their doors, and police officers stood nearby. An officer announced over a loudspeaker, "If you stay, your time is up. You will be arrested." Homeless people frantically stuffed their belongings into bags. What they couldn't take with them was dumped into the garbage trucks like trash. In those 3 hours, homeless people frantically picked up every single vital item: a blanket, a pair of torn shoes, a few pills, a little food. Anything they couldn't take with them was dumped into the garbage trucks, gone as if it had never existed. In San Diego, poverty isn't just a hardship, it can be a crime.
Welcome to U.S. Homeless Stories.
1. The scale of the homelessness crisis in San Diego. San Diego sells a dream: the golden sunsets, the gentle surf, the perfect weather that never fades. But stay long enough, and you'll see another city emerge when the sun goes down. Beneath the palm trees and million-dollar condos lies a parallel world of tents, tarps, and broken promises. In 2025, more than 9,905 people here call the streets home. They sleep under bridges, along the San Diego River, or beside luxury hotels where tourists pay more per night than they earn in a week. It's a cruel irony, America's paradise hiding its pain in plain sight. Nearly 58% of San Diego's homeless have no shelter at all. They battle the cold ocean wind, while neon lights illuminate what they've lost. Some are veterans who once defended this country. Others are seniors, now sleeping where they once walked their grandchildren. 1 in 5 homeless here are over 60. That's not a statistic. It's a heartbreak written across the city's face. How did it come to this? When a 1-bedroom apartment costs $2,620 a month, and the average home tops at $950,000, even full-time workers can't keep up. Families crumble, paychecks vanish, and people slip quietly from apartments into cars, then into tents. You can pass by and pretend not to see, but they're there in every shadow this city casts. If this truth makes you stop and think, don't look away. Subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories and stand with us as we pull back the curtain on America's forgotten reality. Because until we face what hides behind San Diego's beauty, the story of this city and this country will remain unfinished. 2. Why homelessness persists in San Diego. Beneath San Diego's picture-perfect sunsets lies a reality that tourists never see. The same beaches that shimmer in travel ads are lined with people who have nowhere left to go. Men and women sleeping under palm trees, hiding their pain behind the hum of waves. This city, with its billion-dollar biotech towers and luxury apartments stretching toward the sky, has quietly built 2 San Diegos. one of comfort and one of despair. For the wealthy, it's paradise. For the forgotten, it's a slow drowning in the shadow of paradise. Walk a few blocks from the glittering gas lamp quarter, and the dream unravels. Underneath the overpasses, tents flap like broken wings. The air smells of salt, exhaust, and hopelessness. People here once had lives, jobs, homes, families, but the math of survival doesn't work anymore. A one-bedroom apartment now costs more than $25.71. The price of safety has become higher than most people's paychecks. When you lose your job, when illness strikes, or when rent rises overnight, there's no cushion, only concrete waiting beneath your feet. And then comes the silence. Mental illness and addiction aren't moral failures. They're cries for help that echo unanswered. In this city of wealth, nearly half of the homeless battle trauma or mental health issues alone. Hospitals discharge them to sidewalks. Shelters turn them away when beds fill up. The system was never built for mercy. It was built to manage, not to heal. So why does homelessness persist? Because we keep looking away. Because we tell ourselves it's their problem, not ours. But every ignored tent, every cold night endured under the neon glow of prosperity, stains the conscience of this city. If this truth stirs something in you, don't scroll past. What kind of America do we become when our cities shine, but our people fade into darkness? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories, where we don't look away, we listen, we remember, and we give voice to those who've been forgotten. Three, the drug crisis and its ties to mental health. San Diego glows like paradise, yet beneath that beauty lies a battlefield, one where fentanyl has become the silent executioner of dreams. This isn't just a crisis, it's a quiet war, waged in alleys, under bridges, and behind the polished image of the city. In 2025, more than 1,200 lives were lost to opioid overdoses, most connected to fentanyl, an invisible powder so potent it can shatter a life before a heartbeat passes. For many, it begins with pain, emotional, mental, unbearable, and ends with silence. Behind every statistic is someone's child, someone's friend, someone who once believed they could fight their demons alone. San Diego's homeless community wears the scars of this unseen war. Nearly half battle severe mental illness, turning to drugs not for pleasure, but for peace. Along the sidewalks of East Village, or beneath the roar of the freeways, you can see them, bodies fading under the California sun, chasing one more moment of calm. Field workers describe a toxic storm of fentanyl mixed with other substances, creating a cocktail of chaos that grips the mind and destroys the body. It's not just addiction, it's despair weaponized. Yet in this darkness, there are sparks of resistance. Programs like A New Path and McAllister Institute are rewriting the narrative, offering shelter, treatment, and dignity. They prove recovery isn't a miracle, it's a choice supported by compassion. Every life pulled back from the edge is a victory against a system that too often turns away. When you see these faces, don't look away. Their pain is a reflection of what society chooses to ignore. If these stories move you, subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories, because together, we can drag the truth out of the shadows and remind the world that behind every broken soul lies a reason worth saving. A faltering mental health system leaving patients on the streets. In San Diego, the mental health crisis isn't just a policy issue. It's a human tragedy unfolding in slow motion. You see it on the sidewalks near Balboa Park, under the overpasses of I-5, and beside the San Diego River, where tents flutter in the ocean breeze. Behind every face is a story of someone who once had a life, a job, a family, until the system meant to protect them fell apart. By 2025, nearly 4 in 10 people living on the streets in San Diego County struggle with untreated mental illness, many slipping through the cracks because care is fragmented and fleeting. Hospitals patch people up for a night, then send them back into uncertainty. Programs like Care Court, created in 2023 to guide people into treatment, began with promise but struggled to deliver lasting change. Judges can recommend therapy, but they can't provide housing, and without a place to recover, healing rarely sticks. Of the 500 participants enrolled, many left within months, because the system asked too much of those who had already lost almost everything. It's heartbreaking to think that in a city with biotech firms worth billions, we still can't find enough psychiatric beds for those crying out for help. Police officers, not doctors, now respond to rising mental health crises, calls up 18% in just 1 year. Outreach workers do what they can, but waiting lists stretch endlessly. Every tent downtown hides a story like Lisa's, a former teacher who lost her insurance, her job, and her stability after bipolar episodes spiraled out of control. Now she's rebuilding step by step through a small pilot program offering therapy and shelter. These are not statistics, they're people. People who could be our neighbors, friends, or family. In U.S. Homeless Stories, we share their voices because their pain deserves to be heard. If these stories move you, please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, and help us shine a light on those the world too often ignores. Together, we can turn awareness into action and compassion into change. Faces of the Forgotten. Untold stories from San Diego's streets. Beneath San Diego's warm sunlight and calm ocean breeze lies a side of the city many prefer not to see. Behind the postcard beauty, thousands live without shelter, scattered across sidewalks, canyons, and underpasses. Every night, as the city sleeps, the hum of the streets becomes their lullaby. These faces, tired, hopeful, determined, are part of the same community that fuels San Diego's success, yet they remain invisible to most eyes. They are seniors who once paid taxes and raised families, veterans who served their country, young adults priced out of housing, and workers whose paychecks vanish to rent that never stops rising. In 2025, over 905 people across the county remain unhoused despite slight progress, showing that this isn't a problem of effort, but of opportunity. The line between stability and struggle has become frighteningly thin. One medical bill, one lost job, or one rent increase can change everything. When you walk near the Gaslamp Quarter or the Harbor's Edge, you can't ignore the contrast. Luxury hotels and high-end restaurants beside tents and worn sleeping bags. It's a silent question the city asks us every day. How can such beauty and suffering exist side by side? These aren't shadows to be avoided. They are lives waiting to be acknowledged. Because homelessness isn't a statistic, it's a mirror reflecting who we are as a society. If this reality makes you think, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. How do you believe a city like San Diego can change this? And if you want to keep hearing these untold truths, subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories. Your voice and your awareness can help bring light to those still living in the dark. Six, San Diego's response, policies and progress. San Diego's response to homelessness isn't perfect, but it's evolving, shaped by people who refuse to give up. Across the city, the Safe Sleeping Program now shelters hundreds under organized tent communities that finally offer a sense of safety. Each site has bathrooms, security, and outreach teams who greet residents by name. For many, it's the first time in years they've been treated with dignity instead of suspicion. These are not just temporary tents. They are fragile beginnings toward rebuilding lives in a city that has long looked the other way. Alongside them, the Bridge to Home initiative has already opened more than 2,448 affordable units since 2022, giving families and veterans a chance to start over. But the need remains staggering. Officials estimate over 11,000 more homes are still required to meet demand. That gap represents real people sleeping under bridges or near the harbor tonight, hoping tomorrow brings a roof instead of rain. At the same time, Programs like Pathways to Housing offer more than shelter, they offer purpose. By linking housing with job training in industries like construction and hospitality, San Diego is proving that opportunity can be the foundation of recovery. Over 100 residents who once lived on sidewalks now work full-time and pay rent proudly, carrying stories of transformation that remind us change is possible. Still, obstacles persist. Red tape, local resistance, and fading pandemic funds threaten the fragile progress. But hope endures in the faces of volunteers, outreach workers, and those who have found strength in community. Here on U.S. Homeless Stories, we share these stories not as statistics, but as reminders that empathy changes everything. If you believe every person deserves a second chance, hit that subscribe button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and help us keep shining a light on the real America that too many choose not to see. Seven, a path forward. San Diego's story doesn't end in despair. It's turning into one of courage and compassion. Once known for beauty and hidden poverty, the city is now pushing forward with unity and purpose. In 2025, homelessness dropped 14% citywide, proving change is possible when action meets empathy. Programs like Bridge to Home and new affordable housing projects have moved thousands into safe spaces. Yet for every person helped, another falls into crisis. Progress must be protected daily, not celebrated once. Real change begins with one belief: housing is a human right. With stability comes recovery, work, and dignity. That's why the Housing First model, proven in places like Houston, matters. It starts with a home, then adds mental health care, job training, and addiction support. San Diego is slowly adopting this approach, sending outreach teams to connect directly with those on the streets, rebuilding trust one person at a time. But government alone can't fix this. True transformation comes when citizens act, volunteers, faith groups, and neighbors offering food, support, and kindness. Imagine if every family helped just one person. That ripple could reshape the city's soul. This path forward isn't about numbers, it's about humanity. Behind every tent lies a person with a name, a dream, and a story worth hearing. If compassion guides policy, San Diego can rise as a city that values people over profit. What do you believe is the most powerful step a community can take to make sure no one is left behind? If these stories move you, share your thoughts below and subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories, where together we turn awareness into real change. Personal reflections and a call to action. When I think about San Diego, I see two cities living side by side. Beneath San Diego's warm sunlight and calm ocean breeze lies a side of the city many prefer not to see. Thousands live without shelter, scattered across sidewalks, canyons, and underpasses. Every night, as the city sleeps, these faces, tired, hopeful, to San Diego's success, yet they remain invisible to most eyes. They are seniors who once paid taxes and raised adults priced out of housing, others whose paychecks vanish to rent that never stops rising. In 2025, over 905 people across despite slight progress of opportunity. The line between stability and struggle has become a lost job or one rent increase can change everything. When you walk near the Gaslamp Quarter or the harbor's edge, you can't ignore the luxury hotels and high-end restaurants beside tents and worn sleeping bags. It's a every day. How can such beauty and suffering exist side by side? These aren't shadows to be avoided. They are lives waiting to be acknowledged. Because homelessness isn't a statistic, It's a mirror if this reality makes you think, and share your thoughts. How do you believe a city like San Diego? And if you want to keep hearing these untold truths, subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories. Your voice and your awareness can help bring light to those still living in the dark. Diego's response, policies, and progress. San Diego's response to homelessness isn't perfect, but it's evolving. Across the city, the program now shelters hundreds under organized tent communities that finally offer a sense of safety. Nine. The final message. Hope amid the shadows. Hope in San Diego doesn't just live in statistics. It breathes in the people who refuse to give up. It's in the volunteers walking the streets at dawn with coffee and blankets, in the nurses of mobile clinics setting up near the harbor, and in the tired smiles of those who finally find shelter after years of sleeping on cold pavement. The beauty of this city isn't only in its beaches or skyline. It's in the compassion that keeps surfacing, wave after wave, no matter how hard the tide hits. In 2025, San Diego began writing a new chapter. The 14% drop in homelessness wasn't just the result of policy, it was the result of humanity. Over 200 organizations, faith groups, and everyday residents came together with one goal: to make home possible again. Projects like Bridge to Home and Project 25 proved that when housing meets heart, change becomes visible. Former motels in East Village now shelter families. In Barrio Logan, artists paint walls with messages of unity. Even veterans who once patrolled the seas now find a safe place to rest, near the very harbor where their ships once docked. But this story isn't finished. There are still people waiting for a chance. Still tents standing beneath the same sunset that tourists photograph every night. What gives hope power is action. Your action. Because every conversation, every share, and every small gesture pushes this movement forward. So I'll leave you with this question. What does hope look like to you? Is it a roof, a meal, a second chance? Leave your thoughts below. I'd love to hear what you believe can change lives. And if these stories touch your heart, subscribe to U.S. Homeless Stories. Together, we can keep the light burning for those still fighting to find their way home.